Welcome back, MTG Joe here. Today we're going to be doing another installment of the weekly meta breakdown. Now I know we usually start the week looking at Standard as the format, however there was just an announcement, if you missed it, that Meat Hook Massacre has been banned in Standard. As such, it's only going into effect Thursday, October 13th, so the data that we have right now is going to not really be reflective. Meat Hook Massacre was a format staple. It really defined in terms of what creature decks you can play. It made mono, black, and black-based decks quite powerful. So I'm going to hold off on Standard until we can get some data. It's just not really useful to look at meta, and I don't want to suggest decks that might change over the week. What I will do is, because the MIQ is going to be Standard this weekend, I'm going to show how I would upgrade or modify mono black for best of 3 Standard, because that's likely what I'm still going to play. And I can try to find some decks throughout the week maybe before the MIQ and do a standalone video for those playing in it or those who want to try out new Standard. So what we're looking at here today is Explorer. I'm going to merge both best of 1 and best of 3 videos because there's not too much diversity in like individual decks showing up this week for the Explorer format. We are getting Explorer Anthology 2. That should be here before the end of the calendar year. But we are looking from October 3rd to October 10th. And where there's decks that are overlapping for best of 1, best of 3, I'll show both and then kind of just discuss the best of 3 version, since I'll have the sideboard as well. So we get the data as always from Untapped.gg. It's a companion tool that runs alongside Arena Client, tracks win rates, loss rates, in-game overlays, whole bunch of cool stuff. Link is in the video description if you want to get started with it. A whole bunch of stuff is free. And as always, if you do like this type of content, greatly appreciate it if you could drop a like, comment, and subscribe on the video. So enough of the spiel, let's jump into it. So we had 29,000 games from Platinum to Mythic. In best of 1, the top performing deck is Mono Blue Spirits. So this is a tempo-oriented deck that's playing Spirit Treble. And what you're really trying to do is get like a 1-drop out, Ascendant Spirit, Mausoleum Wander, Spectral Sailor, or even some of the 2-drops at times. Rattle Chains is protection spell, can make all your spirits come in with flash. And what you want to do is strap on either Combat Research, which is a new card that's being played in the decks, or Curious Obsession, and then draw cards when you attack with evasive creatures. You kind of respond to your opponent's board, like if they try to remove one of your things, you flash in Rattle Chains. You could slip out the back. You have Lofty Denial and Geist Snare as counters. And then you can pump mana into Ascendant Spirit. You can draw cards with Spectral Sailor, tap things down with the Shacklegeist as well. You're in a snow mana base, so you can play the Faceless Havens as well. So this is a very popular deck in best of 1, 63% win rate towards the top of the ladder. For Greasefang, it's popular in both best of 1 and best of 3. I'm actually quite surprised we didn't see something get hit out of this deck. I was in favor of Parhelion, so that way you still had the Greasefang vehicle kind of sub-theme, whether Esper or Abzan with the chariots, but didn't see anything there. So we had the best of 1 version with a 59% win rate, and then 54, so it gets slightly worse in best of 3, but it's still a positive win rate deck. And what you're trying to do with this deck, for those of you who are unfamiliar, go away, pop-up ad. We have a self-mill strategy. So you want to put cards into your graveyard. From your hand, you can discard Liliana. You can mill with Witherbloom Command. You can draw and discard with Rafine's Informant, Grizzly Salvage, and Corpse Churn. Both put cards into your graveyard. The best of 1 version is on Corpse Churn as well. And then what you want to do is ideally have Parhelion in your graveyard, or one of the vehicles. You cast Greasefang, you reanimate, crew it, give it haste, and attack in. With Parhelion, you get the tokens right away. You attack for 13, you get left with 2 4/4 flyers. There's the fair game with like Esca's Chariot, the removal game with Sky Sovereign, and then you just have like Disruption and Thoughtseize and Liliana to eat out of your opponent's hands. And then you have recursive elements and Can't Stay Awake to bring back your Greasefang, even if you self-mill it. The sideboard, you basically have ways to deal with hate. So Duress versus like control-y matchups, or like for removal heavy decks, Fatal Push when you need to get rid of your opponent's creatures. Then you have just like a number of flexible removal spells. Assassin's Trophy, Terra Sunder can deal with like Rest in Peace, opponents Unlicensed Hearst, any sort of graveyard removal, any sort of like effect that prevents you from going off Weathered Runestone, anything like that. Graveyard Trespasser is good in the mirror, and then can also be used in the heavy removal matchups just as an alternative threat. And Sky Sovereign's very good into the Rakdos decks. So then we go to Mono Red Aggro and Best of One. So this is the Annex Cleave version. And this one's looking to just turn creatures sideways very quickly. Appropriate amount of lands. Really the biggest thing is the configuration of the 3-drop slot in Mono Red. I'm sorry, this is a 58% win rate deck. It's really dependent. Annex Cleave can push through more damage, but this deck then is weaker to the Angels deck without Rampaging Ferocidon. It's really dependent on where the meta is. I prefer Ferocidon. I've tried out this Annex version. I still like the Ferocidon better. We'll see Angels coming up, and then even Mono Green Elves, so just decks to be able to attack that way. This version is got removal in the form of Fanatical Firebrand and Bonecrusher Giant. This version's also fairly weak to Greasefang. Like, you need to get the cleave to kind of pop off, so it's going all in. I went 3-3, so that might be part of the concession when I was trying out the deck, but I'll link it in the video if you want to take a look. Mana base wise, I'd probably only play 1 castle, because then you have basically 10 lands that this can't come into play untapped. But it's a very powerful deck. You Burning Tree into creatures, go wide, Ember Cleave, kill your opponent really quick. And then Chain Whirler with Torbrand. If you have Torbrand out, Chain Whirler does 3 damage to each of your opponent's creatures. We then go to Selesnya. Oh, that's weird. Selesnya Angels, 56% win rate. This is a life gain, kind of go wide, go big, go tall. This deck's got a decent matchup against Greasefang, because you can just outgain them in terms of life and make your board big enough that the Parhelion can attack in. This missing card here is Resplendent Angel, 3 mana, 3/3. If you gain 5 or more life each turn, you get a 4/4 Vigilance Angel. 6 mana, it can give it +2/2 and lifelink. And really with the deck, what you're trying to do is just have like Bishop of the Wings, Righteous Valkyrie to make any of your angels gain you life. Ajani Strength of the Pride's ultimate lets you have a one-sided board wipe, also breaks the mirror, and then Collected Company helps you find other threats as well. And then we go to Mono Green Elves and Best of One, which is kind of cool. So I was playing with the Defiler in a version. This version is looking to just go really elf ball, very wide. You got Dwindlin's Elite, and what you want to do is just have ways to generate lots of mana, whether it be Circle of the Dream Druids, Marwyn, Realm Walker you have here to play off the top. Leaf Crown Visionary lets you draw cards when you cast the elves. You also have the Elvish Kleincaller, and so again, 54%. I got a lot of 1 mana dorks. I like the Realm Walker as playing 4 of. It's just a way to get some card advantage if they sweep or anything like that. But not as powerful as the historic version, because you don't have Allosaurus Shepherd or Elvish, the 3 mana Elf Lord that taps for number of elves you have. But still like a powerful deck. Like mine was playing the Defiler that lets you put counters on everything, so it's kind of like a build your own Craterhoof Behemoth. There's a couple different ways, but the core of the deck seems kind of cool. In Pioneer, they play Rakdos because they have Shaman of the Pack. Not Rakdos, Golgari. So Shaman of the Pack is a 3 mana elf that when it enters the battlefield, your opponent loses life equal to the number of target creatures, basically the number of elves you have. So it's kind of a elf burn spell. Hopefully a card we get in Explorer anthologies. So then we go to Explore Best of 3. We have 12,000 matches, so 24 to 36,000 games of Magic played. The top deck is Rakdos. Sorry, why do I keep saying Rakdos? Mono Green Stompy. So Rakdos is very popular on the ladder. There wasn't actually enough data for Rakdos to come in, which is kind of surprising. But it is a deck that you definitely want to play around. But this is a chunky version of Mono Green, 61% win rate. So it's playing up to the Defiler Vigor. It's Great Henge, Collected Company Shell. You got Ronus, Old Growth Troll, Lovestruck, Kazandu. Got some Tail Swipes in here. So no Blizzard Brawl, but Tail Swipe as an instant speed fight spell. So gives you some game against the Greasefang on the opponent's side of the board. Also, if you do it on your turn, you get the buff. This one's actually only on 6 elves, which is quite interesting. Typically, like I would imagine, you'd want an elf on turn 1 all the time, but it's interesting kind of split. Even with Primal Might, you usually see this as a 4 of in the deck, but this edition might be a concession to Greasefang in the format. In terms of your sideboard, you can name Parhelion, you can name opponent's planeswalkers, you can name creature lands, anything of that nature, whatever you need. Hearse for Graveyard Hate, Ceratops and Questing Beast come in against blue-white control style strategies. Toski can come against blue-white control, but a lot of them now are on like Farewell or March, so that hits that. It's actually pretty good probably against Rakdos. They usually don't play Meathook Massacre, and this card, other than a Liliana with no board, it's going to be harder for them to kill. You can get some card advantage. Vivian to like make your team big and get some fight spells. Against more aggressive decks, you have Elder Gargaroth, Vivian Reed, and Vivian... Okay, so that sideboard was like, we're going to be playing Vivian Tron. I got one of each Vivian, so... In the grindier matchups, you get card advantage of your Planeswalkers. These also don't get hit by Farewell, which has got some utility there. And then a deck that's been quite popular, quite powerful, is the 5-color. I'm selling you short on a color. 5-color Enigmatic Incarnation. So this deck is built around Enigmatic Incarnation. So 4-mana enchantment. Beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another enchantment. If you do, search for a creature card with mana cost equal to 1 plus that. So basically it's Birthing Pod, but enchantment-wise. You played in a Fires of Invention shell. Fires of Invention is 4 mana in this format. It's showing the Alchemy version here. But you turn stuff like Trial of Ambition, Omen of the Sea, Spirited Companion, Utopia, Urban Utopia, just things that like replace themselves or removal, and then you find the various spells. The kind of cool thing with this deck is you can cast Leyline Binding for, as little as 1 mana in this deck because you're playing all 5 colors. And then you sack it, it still counts as 6 mana, so you can go get Agent of Treachery or Titan of Industry. You can also have Fable the Mirror Breaker, which is an enchantment itself, but can then copy Agent or Titan on the top end. You got Tull's Mirror for fights, Kenrith for all the colored manas, some Siege Rhinos, Knight of Autumn. So you're just kind of playing a toolboxy shell. A cool thing you can do is, if you have an Enigmatic Incarnation, I can't talk today, you can sack a 2-mana spell like Omen of the Sea, Trial of Ambition, Utopia Sprawl, get Renegade Rallier, and then get back whatever you sack, so you get some kind of loop value in there as well. Your sideboard, this is Yorion Shell, you got Rest in Peace for Graveyard Hate, Meathook as a removal, counters, early aggressive style decks. It's got a Legion Angel in here hanging out, so you got a Legion Angel package, your Sharn for sack, and then Shark Typhoon for like control. That can also be then sacked as well to find you your 7 drops. So yeah, that's it for the week. Let me know what you've been playing, what you've been enjoying, what most importantly you want to see out of Explorer Anthology 2. There also was the announcement of Shadows over Innistrad Remastered coming in early 2023. If you're curious what cards could potentially be in that set, I did do a video highlighting that on the channel as well. In any case, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you have a great one, and stay safe out there.